Good evening, everyone. My name is Shruti Shah, and I'm the Artistic Co-Director of the Savitri Theatre Group. Welcome to Savitri Theatre's project, Conversations and Connections. We begin by acknowledging the land on which we gather, on which the region of Peel operates, is part of the treaty lands and territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit. For thousands of years, indigenous peoples inhabited and cared for this land. In particular, we acknowledge the territory of the Anishinaabeg, Huron-Wendat, Haudenosaunee, and Ojibwe Chippewa peoples, the land that is home to the Métis. And most recently, the territory of the Credit First Nation, who are direct descendants of the Mississaugas of the Credit. We are grateful to have the opportunity to work on this land, and by doing so, give our respect to its first inhabitants. Savitri's project, Conversations and Connections, has been conceptualized by multidisciplinary artists Anuradha Verma and Sharda Ishwar, and produced by Savitri Theatre. Conversations and Connections seeks to build relationships between and amongst Mississauga artists from various artistic disciplines through the presentation of the artist's works and through dialogue to share knowledge and explore collaborations. This is the second of 5 such presentations. Last Monday, we presented Carnatic vocalist Srinidhi Sridharan. Tonight, we bring you a presentation by multidisciplinary artist Siddhant Sawant, also known as Sid Sawant. Siddhant's presentation will be followed by his conversation with Suma Nair, Assistant Artistic Director of Sampradaya Dance Creations, as well as questions from online viewers in real time. This presentation would not be possible without the support of Lata Pada, Sampradaya Dance Creations, the City of Mississauga, and our live stream team of Nitin Sawant and Neeraj Patel. We hope you enjoyed the presentation. Please like, follow, tweet, share on Facebook, Twitter, and Insta. Thank you for being with us tonight.
It was the first time I was ever on stage, preparing for my debut role. Dressed in a nightgown and a floppy hat, armed with this lantern, I could hear the crowd, eagerly anticipating the show to start. I got ready. I prepared myself, because I knew this was going to change everything. I was 3 years old when my mom put me on stage for the very first time. Yes, a little kid in a nightgown with a very simple role. At the start of the show, run on stage, run in a circle, and then run off. But after I completed my first revolution and I heard the crowd's thunderous applause, I ran around again, and again, and again, until my mom literally had to come on stage, grab me from under the arms, and run off. Now, if you ask my mom, she might have a slightly different retelling of the story. But trust me, the 3-year-old kid with the lantern. Fast forward to 1995. 1995, an immigrant family comes to the new land where the white sand falls from the sky. An immigrant family moving into the basement of a house with another immigrant family. That was the most exceptional thing of my parents. They were able to never make my brother and I feel like broke immigrants. We were always celebrating birthdays at McDonald's because that was the treat. Entering the education system in Canada was amazing. Learned about everything from nap time at Fairview Public School right up to Descartes at York University, with the arts being the through line the entire time that was fanning the flames of this adolescent dream. A dream that I continued to pursue at Cawthra Park Secondary School. Now, my 4 years at Cawthra were absolutely amazing. They had the regional arts program where you study either drama, dance, visual art, or music for the entire 4-year term. I was surrounded by other fellow artists. We were rehearsing daily and learning monologues and memorization techniques. It really did help cultivate and build a much better understanding from a technical standpoint of what being an artist actually is. Yes, of course, we did learn math and sciences and whatnot, but hey, I'm an actor, so let me act. It was phenomenal to be on stage plays, to be in theater productions, to get a chance to talk to the different tech teams, makeup department, wardrobe, and just see how many moving parts there are in just about any production. Having the constant adoration of my faculty members and my peers, man, I was on top of the world. I was indestructible. I also had a very inflated ego. So I applied to only one acting school. I put all my eggs into one basket because I was Sid Sawant. I was told by everybody that I had it. I was going to be the greatest that there ever was, right? So why wouldn't that one school want me? I applied to the one school and I got waitlisted and eventually rejected. I was destroyed. I felt everything that I had been working towards was taken away from me. Clearly, I was not good enough. I held that one academic institution's opinion of me so highly that I completely gave up on acting. No, this one school doesn't think I'm good enough. I'm done. Acting, you and I, we're through. But the skill set that I had, talking, looking for subtext, hours of memorization techniques, what career could I possibly do with that skill set? Naturally, I decided to become a lawyer. I placed my eggs in one basket and set myself up for failure. Diversify, diversify, diversify. I kept hearing, you're lucky if you make it. Now, luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. And I had not prepared for the amount of rejection that I was about to receive. Now, each audition is like a job interview, but the candidates, there are hundreds of them, equally capable, if not more capable. Each audition, the odds are stacked against you. You might not get the job because you're too short, or you're too tall, or you're just better looking than the lead, or. And the worst part is, they don't actually tell you why you don't get the job. You just don't get the job. Now, as an actor, why in the world would you subject yourself to that level of rejection? Over and over and over again. This is something that no acting school had prepared me for. This is something that you're not really told. You're like, yeah, it's hard, but that mental anguish of that rejection over and over again can really start to take a toll. Okay, the next one. Okay, the next one, the next one. But hold on. I'm starting to be a lawyer now, right? Enough with this acting bit. Let's move on to law, shall we? In my second year of my law era, pre-law era actually, I decided to meet with a very high-powered lawyer downtown. Now, I was new to the city and new to parking in the city, so naturally I was 2 minutes late. We go upstairs, I'm in his waiting room, and finally I'm allowed in. And the very first thing he says to me is, people pay me for my time. People don't pay you for your time. So when you're late, you cost me money. Now, I wasn't looking for a job or an internship or anything like that. I was just looking for information. I wanted to know what people at the top of their game in this industry are capable of. What's the lifestyle like? And from the outside, it looked pretty good. He had a really nice suit on, there's a set of BMW keys on the table. I saw photographs of his wife and kids standing in front of the cottage or something. From the outside, it looked amazing. But I had a realization at that moment. No matter what you do in life, it's going to take work. Whether you want to be an actor or a lawyer, it doesn't matter. You have to invest time into that. Now, when you're investing time, be careful. Because invest into a place where it brings you happiness. I could see that this guy had everything that I was aspiring to have. But I don't think he was happy. So I came to the realization, if I'm going to invest my time, I'm going to invest it in acting. I'm going to invest in happiness. I went downstairs, picked up the phone, called my parents, and I said, Mom, Dad, I'm going back to acting school. And that led me to Humber College. I searched around for a variety of programs and landed at Humber. Humber, I must say, it was an absolutely incredible 2-year time of my life. The faculty there, the facilities, the program, it's very well designed to not only accommodate absolutely brand new, fresh-faced actors, but it also gave a plethora of information for actors that had a couple of big credits under their belt. The friends that I forged there are friendships that I'll carry with me forever. We would sit and dream. There were 5 actors living in a house. We would think about what our future looked like and what success was, what success meant to each of us. For me, it was simple. Success equals greatness. You are not successful unless you are great. But my roommates disagreed with me. In the acting world, they were happy if they were able to achieve a modest lifestyle just by acting. Modest. Me? Not a word I would use to describe myself. Now see, I had things going for me. I had an agent who believed in me, cherry-picked me right out of school. She could see my name up in lights. Sid, in 5 years, it'll be your time. And I believed it. I'd booked a feature film, still while studying. My goodness, I was on top of the world. I was literally indestructible, all over again. Everything was going just the way I wanted it to. And then I got a call that did change my life forever. Sid Sawant, my brother, had died in a plane crash. Now, what can I say about my brother? He was the greatest guy I have ever known. He was my rock, he was my confidant, and we had some ridiculous dreams. I remember one of the last conversations I had with him. He was on Manhattan Beach, overlooking the ocean, and he called me. He said, "Hey, you want to move to LA, right? Yeah. You want to be an actor, right? Yeah. So why don't you move in with me? Let's move to LA together. Let's go and pursue our dreams." And immediately I could see it. The 5-year plan materialized so quickly. I would go to LA, I would live on his couch while he flew around the world, did the pilot thing. I'd become a successful, famous actor. I would retire him from being a pilot, allowing him to pursue his music career, supporting him in any way that he needed, the way that he had supported me. Once he became super famous as well, 2 of us would take over the world. It was that simple. When he called me from Manhattan Beach, the dream seemed so real. I could literally taste the ocean air. When I got that call in 2013, I couldn't breathe. Here I was again, a kid by himself with no skills, no direction, no future. I felt lost. It was a tough time, mentally, physically. I didn't know what to do in life. Everything again that I'd been working towards was gone for the second time. I couldn't support myself. I didn't want to be a burden to my parents. These were the dark ages. There was a lot of grieving. But with the support of such incredible people, I was able to put my feet back under me. And I thought, well, if I can't do anything else, let me give this acting thing one more try. Let me see what's up. So I got a role in a play. We got into the rehearsal process. Something was wrong. Something felt off. I couldn't commit emotionally. I couldn't connect to the text. Something on my in my acting psyche had just gone completely awry. And that was because of the loss that I had suffered. I was afraid to access my emotions the way I used to before because I was afraid to feel feelings. I wasn't indestructible anymore. And that was a terrifying realization, that you're not indestructible. So I sought guidance from my acting community. I talked to them about what could I possibly do? If I can't commit, if I can't do this, if I can't act, what can I do? I could feel that dream slowly slipping away. I was not going out for as many auditions anymore. Does my agent not love me? What am I doing wrong? Am I worthless? These are the conversations that I had with myself frequently, and the depressive cycle just churned on. But in my moments alone, it gave me time for introspection. It gave me time to realign and really have some serious conversations with myself. I came to another realization. Your pain is not unique. Everybody has suffered a loss. And that loss was so great to me because it happened to me. Everyone has gone through their own version of that loss. Change around the parameters slightly, but it's the most important thing to them because it happened to them. Don't be defined by your struggles. Everyone has suffered loss. Your pain is not unique. I could hear my brother's voice ringing in my head. It's okay. It's okay. Just keep fighting. But Anirudh, what am I to do? I don't have a set of skills that I can actually create this financial base that I had promised everybody. I told everybody. I had promised myself. Just keep fighting. And that's when I decided to educate myself. See, the internet is an incredible, incredible resource. We all have one of these, or a computer, or something that gives us access to it. And on that resource, there are online tutorials, there are classes, and there's an entire network out there of people who are in the exact same position as you, talking to people at a far greater position than you. It changed everything. It allowed me to access this network, to be able to ask questions and find a set of peers and mentors that allowed growth in my industry. Now with all this newfound knowledge, where did I want to go? I'd spent my entire time as an actor, but there's so many other roles in the film and theater machines. What could I possibly do that wasn't being talent? Well, with over 20 years of on-set experience as an actor, I realized I was curious. I'd asked a lot of questions. I went up to different people, asked them what their jobs were. I got a chance to hang out with the tech and makeup and wardrobe, and I got a chance to see what VFX was like. I got a job at a larger studio where I got to work on some amazing projects. I was flown out to LA, I got to work with people in that industry, and I realized, you know what? You don't have to always be in front of camera. Yes, I'd spent my entire life working towards it, but that was because I couldn't go to the regional arts school for cinematography. There wasn't a program that allowed me to pursue technical lighting and theatrical direction. No, it was drama. It was a drama class. So I became an actor. But with all of this knowledge that had been accumulated over the years of being on set, I started asking questions, and I started building connections. At Playfight, we were a team, but we were a team that was part of a bigger team, post-production. And that bigger team was part of a bigger team, which was the movie. It was a team within a team within a team. Now, I didn't know how important that lesson was, but it sat in the back of my mind. After Playfight, I started my own production house. I was a one-man wrecking crew for a few years. I did everything from pre-production to production to post-production. All-encompassing, end-to-end production. One man by himself, yet again starting to feel a little bit indestructible. But it's exhausting. It is exhausting trying to do everything by yourself. And honestly, the budgets coming in weren't super great. My time, I only had the same 24 hours that everybody else did, and I was spreading myself thin. So, what could I possibly do to maximize my time? Well, build a team, Sid. But how do you build a team? Do I just jump on Kijiji, post-production team, who wants to work in movies? No, it's probably not going to work. Well, how do you build a team? Having a consolidated vision that other people believe in allows you to move towards a congruent goal. And the only tip that I can give you is start. Just start. I wasn't able to build the production studio that I have in a day. It's taken years of introspection, years of downfall, years of failure, but years of picking myself back up. And don't be disillusioned. I'm not here by myself. It takes an entire group of dedicated individuals to be able to create those goals. When you start with whatever resources you have at your disposal. If you don't have the latest and the greatest of DSLRs, it doesn't matter. You don't need to start at that point. You can start with just your cell phone and a window. And then over time, you start to build and build and create and build and put content out there. If you're an actor, then act. Record monologues at home. Put them up on YouTube. Seek the knowledge of your community and build those network connections that allow you to improve on your craft. If you're not an actor and you're a filmmaker, then go and film. Pick up the camera, go and shoot. It is incredibly easy to stand there and make excuses. In acting school, at Humber College, we learned something called find the positive. Now, when you take a script and you break it down, even if the scene is really sad and upsetting, you still try to find the positive in that scene. It makes it more fun to watch as an audience member. But you can apply that to your everyday life. Yes, we have this terrible circumstance, but what's the positive here? Well, you're at home, you have the internet, you have a cell phone. The three basic things you need to get started. If you want to start improving on those skills, start putting those skills into practice. Use the camera, learn the techniques, learn the different things that allow you to improve on your craft. And the other thing, if you spend all of your time working towards a single goal, don't be disheartened if that goal changes. It's okay. I trained my entire life to be an actor. I had the dream of being something incredible in the acting field. Now, that may not be my reality now, but does that mean that I have to give up on the industry completely? I absolutely love everything that I do. I love the network of people that I've built, the people I get to call my friends. I love every single day of my job. Yes, even the overnights. Yes, even the bad days on set. Because a bad day on set is still better than doing something that doesn't make you happy. So thank you. Thank you, Savitri Theatre, for putting this together. Thank you to the funders. Thank you to Sampradaya for such a beautiful space. And thank you guys, the listeners. Thank you for giving a 3-year-old kid with a lantern a chance to speak. My name is Sid Sawant, and together, we can move that production standard onward and upward. All right.
Good, everyone.
I think we're live.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Conversations and Connections. I have the wonderful opportunity to interview, to speak to be in conversation with Sid Sawant, whose wonderful and brutally honest presentation we just heard. Now, film to photography, screen to stage, lens to literary. Sid Sawant's aspirations have led to working on both sides of the camera. He graduated with honors from Cawthra Park's Regional Arts Program for Drama, followed by Humber College's Acting for Film and Television program. Sid continues to keep a balance with all sides of production. His producing credits include Massive Monster Mayhem on Nickelodeon in 2018 and The Expanse. As an actor, his films include 3 award-winning films, 2 features titled Street Soldiers and Dowry, and a short titled Sun. Stage credits include Mahesh Dattani's Where There's a Will, Dance Like a Man, and 7 Steps Around the Fire. And having directed the English play, Savita Wed Satish. Sid Sawant's passion for the arts stems from his family, and he's grateful for their continued support. Sid, welcome to our show. It is lovely to have you with us. First off, you mentioned your first memory of acting. Yes. Tell us a little bit more about running around in circles. Is that your earliest memory of acting? That is
my earliest memory of being on stage. And I can't remember specifics, but I remember, I mean, I was 3.
Right, of course, yeah, but that's great.
But I remember that rush of people applauding for you because you were doing something. And it was infectious. Yeah. It was extremely infectious.
Is that what attracted you to acting?
I think initially, definitely, yes. That general, like, oh, I do this and people clap. Yeah. There's a response that happens when I do this, and you know, it could be a great motivator. Yeah. But as time progressed, I kind of really enjoyed probably the idea of doing the impossible or doing the illegal. Like, you know, I'm never going to rob a bank. I'm not going to be in a high-speed chase scene down a highway. I don't always get the girl. I don't get to, like, you know, go to prison and like start riots and whatever. But actors, they get to do all these things in a controlled environment, which allows them to come really close to what it would be like to actually do some of those things.
Yeah. And you were raised in Mississauga. You grew up in Mississauga for the most part.
I was raised in Mississauga, yes.
Was it difficult for you as a new immigrant pursuing the arts?
I think the struggle of a new immigrant was, I realized looking back that a lot of stuff that had happened was racist and racially motivated. Right. But I was just like, haha, okay, cool. I am the only brown guy here. Ha 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 ha. Yes. On average, Indian people do have a certain smell to them because of their food. Ha 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 ha.
You'd laugh along, right?
I laugh along because what else am I supposed to do at that point? And then kind of as I got older, more educated, at that point I'm like, oh, those are racist jokes. But you know, you kind of brush it off at the time. Yeah. But
Yeah. So Cawthra and then Humber. And when you made that decision that this is what I want to do, when you made that phone call to your parents to tell them, what was their reaction? I think we didn't get that bit in the presentation.
My parents are like the greatest people I've ever, like they're amazing. They're amazing. As parents go, I got really lucky. They had a very simple philosophy. Anything you do, be the best at. So if you wanted to be a janitor or a master of custodial services, that's fine. That's totally cool, but you're getting like janitor awards every month. You're like the regional departmental janitor. You get recognized internationally. The Queen comes down and like, you know, expects you to clean her washroom. You're that level of janitor. So when I told them that I want to be an actor, they're like, that's excellent. You want to be an actor? Cool. Oscars, right? Right. Or Filmfare Awards, right? Depending on which
part of the world you're, And, but at the same time, you know how difficult it is to make a living in the arts, whatever the discipline may be. Tell us about how you take that on.
Extremely supportive parents. Yes.
Okay.
But anybody that wants to pursue a full-time career in the arts, it's definitely a piece of advice my parents gave me early on, was that your friends that have regular jobs, your friends that are doctors, lawyers, engineers, so on and so forth, they are going to reach certain landmarks and benchmarks before you.
Yes.
And you know, as a 14-year-old kid, you're like, okay, it's like they're going to get married before. Okay. They're going to buy their first house. Yeah, fine, sure. They're going to drive their own car. Oh, yeah, I don't care. Everything you're talking about as a 14-year-old kid, like, why would I care about marriage, house, and my first car? But as I'm starting to get older and to that point where my friends are getting married and my friends are like, you know, getting mortgages and like having kids because they're like, hey, we've been married for a few years, let's have kids. That process is happening now, and I'm starting to see where like, oh, you know, you're probably not going to drive that Mercedes by the time you're at this point, or man, you're still trying to figure out how you're going to make it each year, let alone put money aside to start saving for a future. So those were kind of the things that my parents said that kind of resonated with me now, much more than I did back then, to be like, if you want to pursue a career in the arts, a realistic full-time career in the arts, there are definitely some sacrifices you have to make lifestyle-wise. You know, like this year, for example, I am working New Year's. I've worked very hard in my life to never work New Year's.
Right.
But now there's a specific artist we're shooting. They're only available between this day and that day. And because of that, I'm working New Year's.
Wonderful. But that's also how intoxicating the arts is, right? I mean, we're not driven by the same things. We're not driven by the big homes and the fancy cars. It's the high that you talk about when you're on stage or when you're behind the camera that drives you, right? Tell us about that high.
I mean, I wanted to write a short film about it. It's like the 0.7 seconds before you cross that curtain where the audience can see you. It's just that, it's that conversation you have with yourself. You kind of go through everything, and then all of a sudden, you just toss everything out. You're like, you know what? It's going to be what it's going to be. It is what it is. And stepping out on stage, and then all of a sudden, all of that training and all of that rehearsal comes into play, and you just kind of feel your body go through the motions, and it is an out-of-body experience.
It is.
It is amazing. When you're in the zone, when you're in the flow, when you're in the, you know, whatever people want to call it, when you're in it, when you're in the pocket.
Yeah.
It is a third-party experience. You're now watching yourself take on this character, and when you snap out of it, you're just like, when you cross that curtain again, you're like back to being Sid Sawant. You're just like, I think that went well.
That's fun.
I feel literal electricity coursing through my veins. This is the best feeling in the world.
What would Sid today tell Sid who went to Cawthra?
Oh man, there's so many things. I don't know how many of them I can share on camera. Probably listen twice as much as you speak.
Right. Okay.
There was this huge stint of time where I felt I always had to prove myself. I always had to, you know, show that I was, if not the smartest, of the smarter. If I was not this, I always had to show and kind of set my place up in the room, in the circle, in this and that, just be like, hey guys, like here I am, look at me. And I think that if I had a chance to talk to my younger self, I would tell myself to listen more to people. You learn so much more by not saying anything.
Yeah.
And just by listening to them.
Yeah. And what does Sid dream about today?
The possibility of getting 8 hours of rest.
Okay.
I dream about that.
Sleep. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a.
You dream about sleep.
I dream about sleep. I dream about getting adequate rest.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting transitional time right now. It reminds me a little bit of the earlier days when it was, you know, you're working 25 hours a day type of thing.
Yeah.
But my time at Playfight very much did teach me the work-life balance and the importance of avoiding burnout. You know, you're 20.
Yeah.
Great. You can live off of 3.5 hours of sleep and 4 Red Bulls. Excellent. It's not sustainable.
Absolutely.
It's not something that you can continue forever. Now, it's nice to have that ability to be like, okay, if we have this midnight deadline, Red Bull it up, here we go. But at the same time, it's now, these are the work hours, this is when work stops, and then you stop working. But I've also just moved back home with my parents. I've also just moved out of my downtown studio. I've also just had a studio expansion in terms of team.
Yeah.
So like all these things going on, I'm back to that, sleep. I'm dreaming about like good sleep, good restful sleep.
I'm sure. But what keeps you going though? I mean, you're juggling many things at the moment. There's cataclysmic changes happening to the world and to your personal life as well, with the shift in, you know, from space to team to how you work. How do you keep yourself sane?
I have a very good life partner.
Okay. Helps, yeah.
It definitely 100% helps. Ellie, she's the photo that had come up. She's currently in Jordan teaching singing and touring and just having a blast of a time. I miss her dearly, but having that life partner, confidant, individual where you can just vent when you need to vent, be held when you need to be held, get mad, even though it's not her fault, and she takes the brunt of it, and then like an hour later, I'm just like, hey, I'm sorry. She's like, I know.
Right.
But having that vent allows me to kind of, carry on when things get really, really difficult, celebrate the small victories, and just having that reminder that somebody in your life be like, hey, it's this thing you are working on. It wasn't this initial vision that you had, and it's not perfect, and that's okay. Yeah. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
That's wonderful. She's your voice of reason sometimes, isn't she?
Yes.
So, Sid, I have this question about, BIPOC artists, so being a person of color. What are the pros and cons of that, working and living in Toronto as a filmmaker, as an actor?
I think, so being a person of color I've found the benefits of it, as in you can have the racial slurs slung in your direction, and if you react, it's like any bully, right? If you react to the bully, then you're giving them more fuel. If you're like, okay, cool, I'm not disagreeing with you with your racial slur, because that's this little piece of racism that you're talking about does stem from some iota of truth to a small group of individuals, sure, but you are applying it as a generalization across the culture, which is wrong, but I have now taken away that power from you. Now, initially, just working as a person of color, it was just like, hey, all right, cool, this is the pigeonhole that you're in. You're going to be a cab driver, a terrorist, you're going to be a bad guy, you're going to be so on and so forth. Now it's really, really nice to see people of color in positions where it's just like, hey, I'm the lead, and I'm brown. But that has nothing to do with the plot. It has nothing to do with this. I just happen to be brown and the lead. So it's nice to see that shift rather than being like, hi, I'm the brown lead. My parents want me to be a doctor. My dad runs a convenience store. It's like, I see what you're doing there. It seems like 2 steps forward, 1 step back. But working as a colored artist my entire life, now it's at a point where I get this incredible resource known as like the Bhagavad Gita and the Mahabharata and all of the Hindu culture and all the symbolism and the spirituality. So it's literally like an inspiration book where you can just be like, that's cool, that's awesome, I want to integrate that pattern or this or this or that. So it definitely allows me to pull inspiration.
Yeah, absolutely.
And kind of show the next generation the awesomeness of Indian culture, because it is so vast, it is so cool, it is awesome. If somebody did like a comic book, like a bloody comic book of it, where it'd be like, yo, this happened, this is how you get kids interested. We're not talking about the Amar Chitra Kathas, but no,
new age.
Like I'm talking about like 300 The Watchmen, but like
the Avengers style.
Like the Avengers style.
I think there's a poster I had seen a couple of years ago with the same Avengers format, with and it was pretty cool with Shiva and Krishna and the whole pantheon of gods. It was pretty neat.
There's been an ongoing joke series with like my friends and I where it's like explaining things to white people, and it's just us like explaining different cultural stories, but used in current vernacular and just kind of bottom lining what this thing was about. And I think that it should be a YouTube series because
it's like the Lord of the Rings or the Game of Thrones.
It should be. It's so epic. It's so epic.
It is. It totally is. Looking back at your journey, is there anything you'd like to change, or are there any regrets?
I don't think regrets. I don't have a lot of regrets in life, which is nice.
Great. No regrets, no remorse, right?
No regrets, no remorse. Things that I would change. I would probably continue learning the sciences.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Not to ever pursue them.
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Not to pursue them at all. Not to think that. Don't think I'm going to become a doctor or an engineer or this or that. But as an actor, there is certain medical terminology that it's sometimes difficult to wrap your mouth around as a line. So when you're on a episode of House, Grey's Anatomy, or any of those things, and you're just listing off a bunch of things. When you have studied a little bit of something, then your familiarity with the word, it improves, it increases.
Right.
So I would have pursued the science,
and
that's why I wish I'd continued to pursue the science. So I could.
Because you want to back that role in Grey's Anatomy.
There you go.
Got it. Okay. Okay. I want to move on to some fun questions.
Yeah.
Think of it as a rapid round.
Okay.
As made famous by we know who. Your favorite film or TV show?
The Matrix and Fight Club
TV show.
TV show. Oh man.
Okay. What are you watching currently?
Currently, I'm
Yeah.
watching season 17 of The Simpsons.
Of The Simpsons.
Yes.
All right.
Disney Plus.
Okay.
I realized I haven't watched past a certain season. So.
Okay. Okay. This I really like, and I want to know. If someone was to make a film on your life, who would play you?
I would probably get Dev Patel. I would get different South Asian actors to play me
Different
in
phases?
different phases. So I would love to have Dev Patel play me.
Nice. Okay.
I would also love.
Dev Patel would do your 20s.
I think Dev Patel
Yep.
would do my 20s. Yeah,
Okay,
Dev
yeah.
Patel would do my. I think Carl Penn would probably do like my later years.
Okay, in your late 20s.
My maybe even my
Oh,
30s and
okay,
40s. Like,
yeah,
you're
yeah.
talking about like
The entire life,
The
yeah,
entire life.
yeah,
If Irfan Khan was still alive, rest in peace, I would
Yes.
want him to play like the old me, the wise sage me. So maybe start the film and then like end the film with him as well.
Great picks.
And then some of the younger kids, I don't think they've been discovered yet.
Life of Pi, Life of Sid.
Life of Pi, Life of Sid.
That's right. So, has any piece of art? I know you've gone through terrible losses, insurmountable ones. But has there been any piece of art or work or film that has deeply affected you personally, perhaps even changed you in a permanent manner?
There have definitely been several films that have changed me significantly just by, and TV shows, just either conceptually or just a certain shot or a certain execution of the way they did things. I'd mentioned Matrix and Fight Club being two of the
Yep.
most influential films of my very, very early career.
Yeah.
There's a lot of visual art. There's some stuff that I remember being at the MoMA in New York
Yeah, yeah.
with my buddy Nick. I think it was I would think it was a Picasso
Okay,
piece,
yeah.
The Millionaire's Daughter.
Okay.
It was just something that was, I think just the sheer size of it was awe-inspiring. And you know, I try to go to as many, I'm very thankful for the people in my life that take me to art galleries
Yeah.
and viewings and showings and stuff, because
It does something to
it
you.
does something.
Yeah,
It does
absolutely. And who do you look up to as a filmmaker?
As a filmmaker,
Yeah.
so locally, Vikram Das Gupta is very much on that list. I have been on set with him for a couple of times, and man, just the way that that man runs a set is so much more relaxing than I run a set. Even when he's stressed out, it is amazing. Definite shout outs to Ash Verma as well,
Yeah.
as somebody who I always look to for inspiration. The guy was just like, let's go shoot something, bro. Let's go shoot something.
Yeah.
So a lot of love for Ash. A lot of love for, I mean, they've obviously been the filmmakers who've influenced me, the Christopher Nolans of the world,
Right.
and you know, the Three Amigos, all the fine gentlemen from Mexico.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean that it's an endless list. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm inspired by kids' YouTube videos. I'm
Right.
inspired by that tutorial that I watched online where I'm like, I don't know who this kid is, but I like the sonorous sound of his voice, and I can listen to him
Yeah.
while I'm doing my while I'm putting his tutorial into play.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And to remain open like that, right? About, all right, I'd like to now go onto our Facebook Live.
oh no,
So we'll take some questions. Oh wow, everyone's super excited to be here. Okay,
I am also flipping.
can
through.
you imagine how can we all as a community figure out better ways to do creative work that don't require individuals to always be pushed to exhaustion, especially BIPOC, queer, and trans folks?
One more time, can I get that question?
Yeah. So can you imagine how can we all as a community figure out better ways to do creative work? By we, the question is especially framed towards BIPOC, queer, and trans folks. How can we find better ways to do creative work where we're not pushed to exhaustion?
So I believe that we get pushed to exhaustion is when we are trying to save a buck. When
Right.
one person is trying to do everything. And this reminds me of when I was a one-person wrecking crew. Camera, this, that, shot listing, planning, so on and so forth, making sure that the stuff in the set was looking good, camera settings were okay, lighting
Yeah.
was set. And that was the exhausting part. It was the fact that because I was lifting the stands, setting up the stands, getting the shot, and then tearing everything down, that's where the exhaustion came in. And that's where, I guess, the quality of work dipped, because you were focusing on too many things.
Yeah.
Versus having the right amount of crew. And I'm not saying like an endless amount of people, but having people doing their job that they're dedicated for. Even if it's a learning position, even if the person who is on camera hasn't been a camera person their entire life, excellent.
Yeah.
Taking the time, spending the extra little bit of time with them, but now what that does is that removes the camera elements away from me. And then having somebody teaching them in sound, in pre-production, and so on and so forth. I think that if we can find teams, build teams, cultivate a common goal within your immediate community, your extended community, your online community even. We're living in this wonderful digital age where now just because I go and I shoot something doesn't mean I have to edit it anymore. I can park it online somewhere, somebody else can download those assets, and then from there they can do the editing and the post-production and so on and so forth.
Right.
So I think that maybe trying to reduce the number of things, number of hats an individual tries to wear.
And collaborate better.
And
right?
collaborate
Yeah.
better.
Yeah, that's really important. As an actor, Sid, what makes your monologue stand out? Is there a genre one must choose over the other? I'm guessing it's with auditions?
I assume it's with auditions. I think that with monologues, it's what do you connect with? So, example, I have never had a kid. Therefore, I have never had a kid who has died. Right? But if my monologue is me as a father talking to me about how my kid had died and how this sucked for X, Y, and Z reason. Well, because I have never experienced that firsthand, I can do an emotional recall to be like, well, you know what? I have had a brother who's passed away, and that also sucked a lot. So let me tap into that stream of emotional thinking and apply it to this text as a monologue. So even though I don't connect to the monologue as a father, because I'm not, with a deceased kid, which I don't have, I'm able to pull the emotion from this emotional bank here and still apply it. So finding any monologue that you really connect with. It doesn't always have to be sad. It can even be something funny, hilarious. It could be something so on and so forth. As long as you connect with it in some way and you're able to pull some level of truth from that and apply it to your piece, any monologue can be exceptional.
Yeah. So from drama to film, this is from Dhruva. How does the actor balance the level of expression from being very dramatic to being subtle? Stage acting to film acting.
Excellent. Practice, practice, practice.
Yeah.
I think that with the film aspect, and I think that we're also kind of in this weird and interesting transitional time, because now stage acting is film acting.
That's right.
There are 3 cameras out here right now, and sometimes there are operators there, and that operator can give that close-up, which didn't exist in theater before.
Right.
So you had to not just feel sad, you had to embody
Project
sad.
it,
So the gentleman or lady up in row double Z are able to get that performance.
Yeah.
So the way to kind of scale up, scale down, when you have these things right here, record yourself really close up. Record just your eyes and do a monologue.
Okay.
Right? Don't show the face and the nose and this, and just see how much do your eyebrows twitch and flare and flick and this and that. That would be for the film actors. For the theater, kind of keeping the camera further away, getting your entire body in frame. And what does your entire body say when you are rehearsing? Are you able to project your sadness, project your happiness, project your joy, project your anger from row double Z, or is it something that is staying right over here?
Right.
And if it is, then pursue more film.
Right. When you're on stage and you know your performance didn't go too well, when your act puts you off, how do you come back for the next show?
It's not about you. Get over yourself. Right? It's that idea that, you know, us as artists, we're very self-critical. Oh, I didn't do this and I didn't do that and I didn't do this and I messed this up and blah, 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 so the show sucked. Okay, if you're doing a one-man show, completely understandable. But, you know, if you're not doing a one-man show and you have fellow actors and actresses and you have wonderful tech people and you have the lighting person, the sound person, and all of them have done their job exceptionally, you know, may be a little bit bigger than you at that point. And it's not just like, oh, because I sucked, the show sucked. It's like, no, well, you know what? Maybe your scene partner could see you were having an off day and they were able to just step their game up that much further to support you.
That's right.
And the show still kicked butt. So with that in mind, it's done. It's the past. It's over. The only thing that you can do is just be the better version of yourself for tomorrow and knock it out of the park. And don't let your team down. Because when you're thinking about this, oh, I made this mistake and I messed up and I, me, I, personal, individual, it's walking in with very selfish motives. When you're like, oh, together I am going to provide this for the team.
Right.
I'm going to bring this to the table to share. I'm going to offer. I'm going to make myself available to. By changing that vernacular and trying to succeed together, you're able to overcome that mental state. At least I've been able to overcome that mental state of having an absolute just bollock show.
Yeah. And I've had first-hand experience of you being in the director position and handling a huge cast for your first directorial venture in theatre. And I'm sure besides me, there were others who faced that because we were repeatedly performing for 10 days in a row and for 2 consecutive years. And there were those questions about monotony, or am I doing the role justice? And I remember these were the very same things you told me as an actor, get over yourself. Well, more kindly, so yeah.
Yes, because at that point you were my actors and I had to be gentle with
That's
you
right.
and not damage my fragile actors.
That's right, thank you for that.
But yeah, it's a mental obstacle we put in our own way.
Yeah.
And I am still a victim, and I still do it, and I still, but I have to take that second. And this is where having an exceptional life partner, or even like exceptional business partners, where it's like, oh man, that probably sucked. And it's just like, no, it didn't. You did fine. You did well.
Yeah.
Get over
Let's move
yourself.
on. Yeah. All right. We have a question from Shalaka. How can actors do more work to showcase their talent in a time like COVID, or in times when not a lot of opportunities are coming your way?
Excellent question. If there are not opportunities coming your way, create the opportunities yourself. Shalaka, hi Shalaka. We've had the pleasure of working together. She was one of my other wonderful cast members at Savita Wed Satish.
Yep.
And I know that she owns a cell phone and a window to shoot near.
Right.
But it's definitely one of those times for all the other actors is that this is the time to start developing content for yourself. This is a time where we are now locked down, locked in, locked up, and this is not because of the pandemic. Snow is coming. We're about to get locked down, locked in, locked up because of winter.
Yeah.
So the idea of being able to generate film content for yourself, monologue content for yourself. You can jump online, use that internet resource, find monologues, toss it up on your cell phone camera.
Right.
Just put it up there, and then just send it out to your internal community. And once you do this enough times, you'll find a piece that you're actually kind of proud of, and you'll submit it. And I'm not sure if they've started yet, but there were a bunch of these monologue slams and poetry slams and so on and so forth that in Toronto that made Toronto amazing. I'm sure that virtual monologue slams are going to be a thing of the very near future, if not already working. If there are, please somebody drop it in the comments below because I have not heard of these yet. But when it's kind of like this is kind of like the working out phase for being an actor. It's like, if no one has a gun to your head and just like, hey, go to the gym, you're probably not going to go to the gym, right? You have to kind of put that inside yourself to be like, no, I have to go to the gym. As an actor, no one's being like, put a monologue up on YouTube, right? But you have to have that discipline to be like, no, if I don't put up one monologue a week, then there should be some type of consequence.
Interesting.
To that.
Yeah. That's really cool advice. Yeah, I'm thinking of monologues now. Okay, there's this fun question from Manu who asks you, who is one South Asian filmmaker you'd love to work with?
South Asian filmmaker I would love to work with. I haven't gotten a chance. Manu, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten a chance to watch enough South Asian cinema for me to be able to, by name, be able to work with somebody. But there have definitely been some some interesting. There've been some interesting actors who I've had the pleasure of like meeting that I would have loved to work with. Irfan Khan is one of them, where it's just like, man, I would have just a conversation with that man after everything that he's done. Just but currently, if there was somebody I would love to work with, I'd love to work with Aditya Ravo again.
Oh, okay. Putting it out there.
I'm putting it out there.
Right.
Aditya, if you're watching this, man, I love you so much. I've not seen you in a while. We've been trying to find another project to work on. We shot a short film, probably my first short film ever, shot in India, 2017, 2016-ish.
Okay, okay.
And we had an excellent time. And since then, I've been trying to work with him again. And it's just been difficult.
Schedules and everything.
Schedules are difficult. We live on the other sides of the world.
Yeah, yeah. So as we wrap up, Sid, I think we've tackled a lot of the questions. What's next for you?
I think that the winter hibernation is coming. I'm excited to start up my hour. It's no longer this thing is not mine anymore. I have people that I now have to ask if I can buy things. Neeraj, I love you too. I think that the next step for us is we are putting out a variety of content on YouTube. Some of the information that I talked about, as well as just how to get started at home with a cell phone, how to get started with this, where to put lights, how to edit, the basic editing keyboard shortcuts and workflow, and for anybody who's at home with a lot of time wondering what to do, we're putting these videos out there for you guys.
Wonderful.
And then beyond that, I'm excited for 2021 because it's 2020 was supposed to be this big year. I think a lot of people thought that 2020 was going to be a big year, but it has been. It has been because I've been able to have a pivot and a shift in terms of a mental state, pivot and a shift in terms of a company. And I'm excited to start generating more content for 2021.
Yeah.
I'm more excited to generate like artistic-based content, not just stuff for the paying client and whatnot. It's the way that once a week as an actor, put out a monologue shot from your cell phone. Company-wise, once a month we want to put out a short film.
Okay.
Not for anybody, not for anything. It's just, hey, saw this one cool effect. Wonderful. Let's write an entire short film around that one effect as the centralized point. And let's shoot it, and let's edit it, let's see how difficult it was to do that, and then let's put it out there, and then that's it.
Right, and this is an onward and upward initiative.
This is an onward and upward initiative.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. The joys of a conversation, really. Thank you, and I'm so glad I got to do this with you. All the very best, Sid.
Thank you.
Stay safe, and you're such an important part of Savitri and onward and upward, and it's a pleasure and honor to know you and to work with you and for you. Thank you so much, everyone. Don't forget to tune in, same time, next week, Monday, with another artist in Connections and Conversations. Thank you.